Black Friday is just around the corner, so I wanted to share with you some of the best filmmaking deals out there. I am a Canon shooter, so I will be recommending Canon gear. However, I do have some deals from GoPro, Apple, and some other accessories like SmallRig and K&F. But this is not to say that you can't find good deals on Sony cameras, Nikon, etc. Every product will be linked in the description below, and if you choose to use those links, I will get a small commission, and I thank you for that in advance. And with that, let's get started looking at these deals. So let's start with some Canon lenses. And the one I'm really excited for is actually the deals on the Holy Trinity, especially at f2.8. For those of you unaware of the Holy Trinity, it is the three lenses that cover a wide focal range of 15 to 200, all at f2.8. The great thing about the deals on the Holy Trinity is that all the lenses are $300 off. So with that, let's get started with the 15 to 35. This is an ultra wide lens that allows you to capture real estate and do some vlogging as well, but it has some capabilities in portrait at the 35mm range. This normally retails for about $2,400 new, but on Black Friday it will be $2,100. Now for the 24 to 70 f2.8, this is the lens I would recommend for most people. This is the most versatile zoom lens that you can possibly get. At 24, you have enough wide to capture establishing shots. You got a nice medium range from 35 to 50. And if you want to get some close-ups, you can go to 70mm and capture all those there. So you have three different sizes of shots all in one lens. So it's a great beginner lens, although it is pricier. Normally it is $2,400, but for Black Friday, it will be $2,100. And to finally round off the Holy Trinity, you have the 70-200 f2.8. This is mainly for outdoor shooting because at a 70mm, you're really tight for space indoors. And if you go all the way to 200, then you're really super tight. I use this mainly at events and conferences where I kind of want to keep myself at a distance from subjects so I'm not super intrusive. And it also allows me to capture the stage, which can be very far away if you're at the back of the venue. And at f2.8, you have much better low light capabilities with all these lenses, and that is especially useful when you're using the 70-200 for events. This lens is also $300 off, normally at $2,700, retailing now for Black Friday at $2,400. Now those are very expensive and they are the f2.8 variant. They do have f4 alternatives for the ultra wide 14 to 35 and for that 70-200mm range. So with the f4 variant, you get an extra millimeter at 14mm to 35. And this lens is actually going to be $500 off, retailing now for $1,200 instead of $1,700. And for that 70-200, if you go for the f4 variant, I would say that's more if you're going to be shooting outdoors where there's plenty of light. I really wouldn't recommend this lens if you're going to be using it for events or some sort of indoor work where you're going to be more limited when it comes to lighting. In any case, this lens is only $100 off, so instead of $1,500, you're going to be paying $1,400. Next up, we have the RF 50mm f1.8 STM lens. This is the nifty 50. So it is a great all-around lens, great for portraits and some indoor work. You're going to be a little bit limited because 50mm can be a little bit tight depending on the space you're shooting in, but it is probably the most basic and easy to use lens out there. In fact, when we started our video production company, we pretty much used just this lens for almost a year before we got our 24 to 70s. And it did a great job at pretty much doing everything. The deal here is pretty small though. It's only $30 off, so you can get it now for $170. Now here comes some more niche lenses. So the one I'm going to be covering first is the RF 100mm f2.8 macro lens. A macro lens allows you to capture really fine close-up details that you wouldn't normally get with other lenses. So the 100mm RF is mainly for detail shots and product shots, I would say. So I really see wedding people use this the most. They used to get those detail shots of the ring, flowers, and other important details like that. And of course, you can use this for portraits, although I prefer a 135 or an 85mm. So the RF 100mm lens actually has the best deal on Amazon at a $400 discount, now retailing for $1,000. Now let's move on to the RF 85mm f1.2. There are actually two variants of this lens, but both of them are actually $300 off. So there is a special variant of this lens that is called DS, short for defocus smoothing, which simply means it has a different bokeh pattern that you can adjust using a dial on the lens. Now, I don't know how useful that is, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone say they really wanted that variant of the lens, but it is available. Just know you're going to pay a premium for it. So for the defocusing model, at $300 off, you're gonna pay $2,800 for that lens. Whereas if you just get the regular 85mm f1.2, at $300 off, you're gonna be paying $2,500. I will be trying out this lens in a future video, so be on the lookout for that. Now let's move on to camera bodies and kits. So Canon has a great deal for the R3 body only. It is actually on sale right now for $1,000 off. So this will cost $5,000 instead of $6,000. Now this is Canon's stack sensor camera, meaning that it can take great shots when doing things for fast action like sports or racing. And you're not going to see those distortions that normally happen when you take fast action like that, where there's going to be a ball warping, a bat warping, or a golf club warping. So it's definitely targeted more for the sports shooter. However, it's just an all-around great camera. If you are a beginner, you might like these two deals coming up. There is an R50 content creator kit that is being on sale for Black Friday. This kit includes the R50 body, a nice kit lens, the Canon stereo mic, a tripod grip, and a wireless remote. The R50 is an APS-C sensor body, so it's not going to be quite as good as the full frames like the R3 or the R6. But for a beginner, it is more than enough for you to get started on this journey of filmmaking or photography. The kit is actually $200 off and now is available at $800. Now, if you're looking to go into the full frame world, I would really look towards something like the R8. The reason I'm really impressed with this camera is because it has the exact same sensor as the Canon R6 Mark II, which is the camera that you're watching this video on right now. The sensor on this camera is absolutely amazing. I love the image quality. I think it's incredibly sharp, beautiful. The colors are great. You actually have access to log and C-Log 3 for a much better dynamic range in your videos. And you're getting all of that for pretty much half the price of this camera body, but with the loss of just a few features. The R8 has a smaller battery, so the battery life is not quite as good. You only have one SD card slot, so if something were to go wrong, you're not gonna have a backup like you do on the R6 Mark II. And there is no in-body image stabilization on the R8. So if you want some sort of image stabilization, you'll actually want to pair that body with some sort of lens that has image stabilization. But are those few drawbacks worth the $1,300 you would pay extra just for the body of the Canon R6 Mark II? That's for you to decide. So the R8 is actually $300 off, now retailing for $1,200. Last but not least, for Canon cameras, we have the Canon R5C. This is essentially a Canon R5 minus the in-body image stabilization, but they added their Cinema Line menu system for video. And the image quality from the R5C is absolutely stunning. It is great to still have a hybrid camera that is not just only for video, but the video features you do get surpass anything that could come with the original R5 or something like the R6 Mark II. There are two deals here for the R5C. First up, you have $500 off just the body, so you'll be paying $3,800 on Black Friday. But if you want to pair it with the RF 24-70 f2.8 that we mentioned earlier, that is also $500 off that bundle, and you'll be paying $5,800, which is probably the best deal on there right now. If you bought those two items separately, the RF 24-70, that's $2,400, and then the R5C is around $4,200, I believe. That's around $7,000 you'd be paying normally, but for Black Friday, you're gonna be only paying $5,800. So that's just mind-blowing, and that's for anyone who might be in the market for the R5C. All right, and finally, let's talk some accessories and action cameras. First up, we have the small rig field monitor mount. This is a great little mount for using your monitor on. This goes directly either to the hot shoe or it can be attached to some sort of cage that you have for your camera. This is normally about $36, but it's $14 off and you'll only pay $22. Next up, we have the K&F step up and step down rings. So if you use any filters, you understand the pain of having to buy a bunch of different filters for different thread sizes. So for example, the 24-70 uses a 77mm thread size, but my 15-35 uses an 82mm. So most people, what they will do is actually buy two ND filters, one at 77 and one at 82. The thing is, you can buy these step up rings and simply adapt the filter to whatever size you need. And this K&F step up ring system covers pretty much every thread size, even something as small as 42mm, which was, I believe, the 50mm f1.8 thread size. Although the deal is only $4 off, so you'll be getting this for $22. All right, let's cover some of the GoPro deals. So the new Hero 12 just came out, and is a fantastic action camera. I still think GoPro is the leader in this area. I know Insta360 is right behind them, and DJI is really coming for their throne. But from all the comparisons I've seen, the Hero 12 and the GoPro image quality is just so amazing straight out of camera that I think it's most worth for most people. So if you just wanted the Hero 12 alone, it's going to be $50 off at $350. But if you want to get the creator kit, you're actually going to be saving $100 off and pay only $500. And the creator kit includes the Hero 12 Black, the Volta, which is the battery grip with the tripod and the remote, a mic, a light, an extra large battery, the Enduro battery, and a carrying case. All that for $500. Next up, let's talk Apple. If you're a creative, I really think the best computers and accessories you can use for editing and doing post-production work really is Apple. I used to be a Windows person and I still really love those computers for gaming per se, but as a working professional, I really think Apple is the leader in the market right now, especially ever since they went to their own proprietary chips. The M1 Max has been absolutely stunning for me. I don't have to create proxies for my C-Log3 footage anymore, and exporting and editing is such a smooth and seamless process that I really can't imagine going back to some sort of Windows system. So to start off the Apple deals, I would really look into getting a MacBook Pro. So the M3 chips just came out and that's really good. But what that signals to me is that you can get better deals on the M1 and the M2 chips since they will be on sale because of the new model. However, you don't have too much choice when it comes to Amazon. They're gonna have like pre-built models and they're all pretty much the same deal. It's just about $200 off. Feel free to peruse the MacBook Pros. I think 16-inch is best if you're going to be editing. It is a little bit larger and cumbersome to hold around. I currently have the 14-inch M1 MacBook Pro Max with 64 gigabytes and 2 terabytes, and that thing works beautifully. So I imagine you probably get away with a little bit less, something like 32 gigabytes or even 16 gigabytes on like an M2 or M3 chip is more than enough for most people. And lastly, I think Apple AirTags are sort of underappreciated. If you are in the Apple ecosystem like I am, it is nice to have the AirTags because it allows you to find products that aren't necessarily Apple, but they integrate very well. So you can find things like your keys, your wallet, or whatever, your camera, sometimes your camera bag, which is what I do with the Apple AirTags. So right now there's a 4-pack deal. So normally these cost $100. You'll be saving $20 and they'll cost you only $80. If any of these interested you, please use the links down below. It really helps support the channel. If you have any questions about filmmaking or want to learn more, feel free to leave a comment down below. I read them all and I might make a video. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.